Welcome to Third Eye Weekly. Today we have Michael Brando, writer and author of A Matter of Breeding, a biting history of pedigree dogs and how the quest for status has harmed man's best friend. Thank you for being with us, Michael.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so you used to be a former dog walker in Manhattan as well, right?
Yeah, I still do a little bit of that.
You still do that?
I do mostly pet sitting, but that has a time limit. I mean, I'm getting too old. It's brutal work.
So did that influence you writing this book and your
I gathered much of my information. I kept a journal the whole time. A lot of the descriptive passages in the book are from those journals, and I learned a lot about dogs in the process. So yeah, that was part of it.
Was that the first encounter you started to see of the sort of like mental and physical ailments of certain types of dogs?
Yeah, I saw a lot. And a lot of these dogs, many of my clients are really wealthy, and they go to societies of reputable breeders, supposedly, and a lot of these sick dogs were coming from those breeders, so it wasn't a puppy mill thing.
And was that kind of your introduction to the Westminster Dog Show and your involvement in those kinds of scenes? Have you ever had like a direct involvement with them, or has it been more from observing them from afar?
Oh, I've been to a lot of dog shows over the years, yeah. But no, I've never taken part in the dog fancy and the culture, no. No, but I did apprentice as a dog trainer, and for several years we did the Great American Mutt Show, which was an agility demonstration with dogs. We were on the Good Morning America, a few other things. This is before they even allowed mutts at Westminster for agility. We did that all over the city. So I guess I sort of was involved in dog shows for mutts.
So what was the aha moment for you when you realized that you didn't need to find the right breed to match your lifestyle?
Like a lot of people, I was raised with breeds. We had beagles in the 60s, which are going to become really popular again now. Just one Westminster, because they were the Snoopy dogs, and they were those wide-eyed paintings by Margaret Keane. Those were often beagles.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ridiculously cute pictures. And then in the 70s we got schnauzers, because those were the thing. But then as an adult, I hadn't had my own dog that I actually raised on my own before 1996, when I got my Samantha from the SPCA. She was the first puppy they had that day, so I took her, and she was beautiful. Shepherd mix, who knows what she is? Maybe a mix of nothing.
Yeah.
And but the decision to get her was what was interesting, because my companion had passed away the year before, and a painter friend of mine was staying over. He said, Michael, you're really a mess. You got to get a dog. And the first thing that came to mind is what comes to everyone's mind. What breed? I said. That's automatic. It was programmed. And he said, what are you talking about? Just go to a shelter and get a dog. And then it suddenly dawned on me, oh, okay. And I did. And those were some of the best years of my life, 14 years.
How do you associate a lot of race and class with the way we choose a breed, a dog breed?
Well, historically it is related to race and class. I mean, commercial standardized breeds as we know them were very much a part of the eugenics movement in the 19th century, which is an attempt to segregate and keep pure the races, not just human, but dog as well. And in many ways, commercial standardized breeds were a way of proving eugenics theories, which they didn't really prove anything, but neither did eugenics. People believe what they want to believe.
At the time, yeah.
Yeah, and class is the flip side, I think, of race. It was an expression of how much money you had by having a type that was recognizable on the street, costing a certain amount of money, showing a certain level of taste, and breeding in yourself, really. So, and I think that still holds today. I don't think people want to see that, but it's sort of hard to ignore that legacy. For many breeds, it's very difficult to understand why people would buy them if it were not for that snob appeal and beliefs about race and class we're no longer supposed to have about ourselves, because it can't be about health in the dogs in many cases, or quality as we would normally define it. So basically that's what I talk about in the book, this other motivation for having dogs.
So it's definitely not as much about health, but in your experience and in your research, have you noticed fundamental differences between the health and quality of life between purebreds and mutts?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, some of the sickest breeds I know are also the most popular breeds to have. So if you're talking about a bulldog or a French bulldog, two of the most popular breeds in New York City at the moment, across the board, they're also the least healthy, the highest for vet bills. All the studies show me that. So right off the bat, you can see that the most popular breeds that people are buying are also the sickest. And if they were crossbred a little bit and made a little less extreme in terms of how they look, like say a designer dog, a cross with a bulldog and a beagle or something, that dog has less respiratory problems. And it's technically a mutt.
Yeah, bulldogs usually get C-sections, is that correct?
Almost always.
Always.
Yeah.
So their bodies aren't even fit to naturally breed.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, bulldogs, even when they were first standardized into this breed we know today, were never able to give birth naturally. They were given these butcher jobs from day one, basically. They could never mate normally or give birth normally. So there was always something wrong with these animals.
Why do you think it is that there isn't more of an awareness, societal awareness towards these sicknesses in dog breeds?
I think the snobbish appeal of having a dog. I think a lot of it's just fashion, blind imitation of doing what other people are doing. But I got to say now, a lot of it's just got to be denial because there's so much information out there.
Right.
I mean, the English bulldog, for example, was there was a 10-page article in the New York Times in 2011. 10 pages of reasons why not to buy this dog, why it was in trouble. Since that time, it's shot up in popularity. It's made it into the AKC's top 5. So you couldn't have noticed what's going on or how many times your next door neighbor's taking his dog to the vet.
Do you feel like there should be laws around the way we breed? I mean, it seems like there's not a lot of regulation in how some of these breeders treat the animals and breed these pedigrees, right?
I wish there could be. I don't know if there will be. I think at this point, the best thing we can do as dog lovers and consumers is to boycott and use social pressure. I mean, every time you tell someone their pug or their French bulldog is cute, I'm not saying harass people, I'm just saying you're rewarding them for making a bad choice and buying a dog, buying into a system that perpetuates suffering, that breeds sick animals. There's nothing cute about it.
So do you think the future looks hopeful for mutts and for people looking to get dogs? Maybe there's a slight tendency now that there's more awareness to lean away from getting purebreds.
Oh yeah, even before my book came out, I mean, I've seen, wonderful things happening. A lot of celebrities are setting great examples. Like Ryan Gosling and his famous mutt with the mohawk.
That's right, yeah.
It's an amorphous thing, but it has his mohawk. A lot of people are setting great examples, but a lot of people are setting bad ones. I mean, look at all the young male celebrities getting French bulldogs. It's like a disease.
And it's like a symbol of masculinity almost, though, too.
It is.
Instead of it being about just a dog letting the dog be a dog, it's about an extension of their wealth or status.
Absolutely. An extension of their machismo, too, because when these dogs were designed, they were made to look strong, but they're not strong. They can barely walk. They look like sumo wrestlers, but they can barely function.
So what's the one thing you want people to take away from reading your book?
I'd like them to just be aware that there's a history behind a lot of our beliefs about dogs and our prejudice against mutts. And to understand, like I said, I think the mutt message is out there and a lot of people have got it and they know that rescuing is the right thing to do and don't buy dogs, no matter what the breed. But I think we have to be aware of just how much we've reshaped dogs and how far we've gone to make them please us as consumers. I don't think people are aware of the extent of it and how we were trained to believe that we needed breeds in the first place. This notion of blood purity and pedigree and how it's really at odds with the values we claim to have.
Well, thank you for sharing these. The sort of like the underdog of
the underbelly,
the underbelly of what's really going on in breeding right now and how we can be more socially aware. So thank you so much for being
Thanks
here.
for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.